Hey, this is Cameron, and welcome to the practice log. Alright, well, we have a lot of stuff to get into today, so let's go ahead and jump into it, shall we? I just had my first weekend off, and oh my god, it was so good. I didn't do anything. It's actually Sunday right now. I'm taking it easy this Sunday, though. I just want to practice. I haven't filmed a video in like a day. I didn't edit yesterday at all. I think that was the first time I haven't edited in like months. So that's nice. That was really nice. I feel really optimistic about this new 5-day-a-week schedule. I ran out of instant coffee, so I walked over to Liberal Coffee Shop Establishment, where I ordered a black coffee for $7, and you should have seen the look on the barista's face when I said, I'll take a black coffee. She was so impressed with me, because she was like, whoa, we're used to people ordering like frappa whatever, and I was like, well, that's not who I am. I didn't actually get a black coffee. I got a coffee with almond milk. I don't know what that was, sorry. I think I might have read something like that on Reddit this morning when I was waking up. Black coffee's okay. I used to drink black coffee, but once you start splashing almond milk in that, it's hard to go back. It's still pretty bitter, but it just takes that, like, the bite away. It's really nice. So, you know, I asked for almond milk. That was my morning. Aren't you glad you know that? Yeah, I think today, we're gonna make this a chair section. I'm gonna talk for a little bit. I have a comment question to answer. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. Well, I've been taking this time to answer comment questions. Let's take a look at the comment section. This one is from Ibrahim Ishmael. 5625, how's it going? Friend of the channel. You said you forgot to answer my question. I never forget to answer questions. I see all comments. I keep tabs on all questions. If I haven't answered it, it's because I don't have an answer yet. Which happens. I have to think about stuff sometimes. But you restate it here. I asked you what I should be expecting from a classical guitar lesson. I am not a complete beginner. I can move comfortably around the fretboard, but I haven't had any professional teaching except one, but the teacher scammed me and didn't actually know classical guitar. Oh, what a classic story. Guitar teacher offers lessons. Tentatively, they offer classical guitar lessons. Yeah, classical guitar and then all other forms of guitar, it's just two completely different instruments. Yeah, if someone doesn't call themselves a classical guitarist, do not take classical guitar lessons from them. This might be overkill. You might also want to ask for like their CV too. Like ask them for a resume and see like the teachers that they've studied with. Like I don't think you need a degree per se to be like a good classical teacher, especially for like teaching a beginner classical guitar. But you should have studied with some people that you can like search up and see like you studied with this person between these years. Okay, you're at a good level, I assume then. You can be trusted. Taking classical lessons from someone with no resume, no teacher, ooh, I don't know about that. So I'm just gonna give you like what you would get from a lesson from me. For a new classical student, you have to be pretty darn good already for me not to treat it like a first lesson. Because my philosophy is, if you're walking away from any lesson with me and you're like confused or like you don't exactly know what to do, then it's a failure on my part as a teacher. So I'll just start from the very beginning, and the only difference between somebody who has some experience and a complete beginner is that we'll just go through the beginning stuff really quick. So we'll knock it out in like a few lessons, or even in some cases like one lesson, and then we'll kind of move on to repertoire that you're working on. And what are these basics that I'm talking about? I'll ask you some questions that will like offend you. I'll be like, how many strings does a guitar have? Like, I just want to hear that we're on the same page about what this instrument is. So I'll ask you what the strings are. We'll number them, quiz you on what number string is what. I'll call out numbers and you put your thumb on it. We're going to talk about the tuning pegs. I'm going to have you point to them as I call out the numbers. We're going to make sure you can tune the guitar. I'll cover all bases with a student just to like see. And I try to preface it with like, you might be offended by these questions because they're so basic. I don't think you're an idiot. I just don't want to take the chance that you might not know something really basic. So we're just covering everything. Covering frets, we'll cover a basic thumb free stroke where you're just playing it on the 6th string. We'll set that up. That's like the first thing I teach, like always, is a thumb free stroke because it's the easiest thing. It's just your thumb dropping down like that, and you can keep your index finger on the 3rd string and just let your thumb drop down to your index finger. Bum, E, E. I'll just have you do that a whole bunch, and we'll make sure your technique is really nice for that. And then from there, I'll have you just play like a nursery rhyme on the 6th string where you're just using your 1st finger and just sliding it around. That's what I want you to practice in the first week if you're a beginner. When I tell people that, they always comment, that's a lot of stuff to cover. Like you cover all that, how to tune, and also playing something that they can practice. And yeah, and I'm pretty good at it too. I was looking at my stats on the other platform that I teach on, and I've taught 290 first lessons on that platform. So it's pretty optimized. It wasn't always like that, but I can pretty reliably get out of a first lesson with a child, have having them do all that, and then we can build on it later. Like in the next lesson, I'd start talking about positions. So now they're playing the nursery rhyme using their index and third finger and pinky and stuff instead of just sliding around their index. And then I'll tell you where it goes from there. We start reading sheet music just out of like any sight reading book. And then we go into the good stuff, the Sor, the Carcassi, all that. That's after like a few months usually. Now, and I say after a few months, if you're somebody who has some experience, we might cover all that stuff in like 2 lessons. We're like ready to just move on to like easy etudes. If you have no experience, it'll take a few months, but I always try to make a point for the people that do have experience. It's like we're starting at the very beginning. We're gonna fly through it if you know it. And hey, guess what? If you don't know it, we're not gonna fly through it, but thank God we started covering it and you didn't get a teacher that just pushes you into some stuff that you have no idea what you're doing. Because I know all the stuff you need to play the easy etudes, and I want you to have everything you need for that. So I'm pretty serious about that. Oh man, that coffee is hitting me hard. I got a pretty insane coffee. Now, of course, if I were to start a first lesson with somebody and they're telling me like the etudes that they're working on or the music they're working on, I'm gonna be more interested in first just hearing a piece that they're comfortable playing, because that's a pretty easy way to just kind of assess where they are. So in a first lesson, at least with me, if you have music already, you could expect to start off playing that, and I would give you feedback on your playing. I would find stuff that you're doing well, stuff that you could maybe improve with, and then from there, I would probably ask you if you're working on technique. You would say no, and then I would assign you some technique, and then this is just like standard lesson stuff in my experience. Like an experienced teacher, they've learned lots of etudes, I'm sure, like I have, and I kind of know what I've gotten from each one, and if I see that deficit in your playing, I can be like, oh, I used to have that deficit, and here's what I did to fix that. I learned this etude. You should learn this etude. So you just kind of get access to that experience. Instead of like guesses and then you find the solution later, you just immediately get the solution, which is really nice. Seeking out lessons for classical guitar. I mean, like you see me, like I'll get lessons sometimes. I'll pester the local doctoral students for lessons. I'm not above that. And even people who are like on my level, like my own peers, in passing, they'll tell me stuff that's helpful. And I'm sure I tell them stuff that's helpful too, hopefully. That's what's nice about being in a community of like academic guitarists. They'll help you out. And Ishmael, if you're not on the Discord, you should definitely be on the Discord. I know that you're against paying for lessons. If I recall, you said that there are better things to spend your money on. But you can catch me in the Discord, in the practice room, and that's free for everyone. So, you know, if you show up with your guitar and you start playing something, I'll offer you some advice, I'm sure. And I'm pretty generous with like that stuff. So I won't be stingy about like teaching you if the circumstances align where we are in the same voice chat together. So, you know, feel free to hop on there. Hopefully that answered your question a bit, and that goes for anybody too. When given the opportunity to teach, I usually just end up doing it because it's kind of the thing that I do. I am a teacher. It's a big part of my life. I feel like I'm pretty good at it, and I like doing it a lot. But if you want like a lesson slot in my schedule that's like that's their time, there's no bending on that, you do have to hire me and pay me. But you know, you get what I'm saying. Alright, well I think that pretty much covers it. I'm sure there's more to talk about. Just ask the question again in a little bit. I'll answer it again. Alright, well, I have a pimple on my hand. What does that mean? I think we can wrap this question up. I feel like I rambled a lot. Hopefully that made me seem like a good teacher and not like insane. I think it's time for me to teach myself in the form of practice. So, I'll see you in the piano bench. Why is my stand so short? Time to get back to it. I didn't play guitar at all yesterday. And also my thumb is feeling a lot better. I'm still gonna wear the compression sleeve, but I don't think I'll need it for much longer. So that's really cool. I will go ahead and jump to it. I will see you on the other side. Okay, how about this? I'm gonna play something for you. I'm not done practicing though, but let me bring you closer. So my thumb is starting to flare up a little bit, so I'm just gonna play the Adagio for you. I think the Adagio is like particularly rough on my thumb, but it's okay, it feels fine. It feels so much better than it did before. Alright, here we go. Ah, man, I memory slipped that so bad. I skipped like a good third of that piece. And the fire truck. You know what? I'm not gonna redo that because a lot of that felt really good, especially the beginning. I need to freshen up on that adagio. It's not as solid in my mind as the fugue, which is kind of funny. You know what? So that's what I'm gonna work on here. And I'm gonna take it pretty easy on my hand. So I'm gonna keep working on the adagio, try to memorize it, and then I'll go through the other stuff like the Siciliana and whatnot. And I think that's probably all I'll do for this morning session. Alright, I'm gonna bring you back. It's gonna go right to me playing. You'll see. Okay, I think I'm done for the day. Well, I'll bring you closer again, and then we'll do the outro. So I think with the Bach, I pretty much just need to work on it for a while. I think I'm officially going to start going into the Giuliani. Sonata, Opus 15. You know, it's a little bit easier. It's a little bit of a break. I'm going to approach it kind of how I approach the Bach, even though it is easier and I could just like sight read through pages and pages. I'm just gonna learn like one phrase at a time, and I'm not gonna move on until I have the phrase like pretty much down. So the first phrase that I'm working on is this right here. And you know, like I played it. It needs to be a little faster, of course. Allegro so. That sounds like something that should be fast. It has the word sprit in it. So, you know, tomorrow I'm going to look at that phrase again, and then once it's mastered, I'll move on to the next phrase. And that's how we're going to approach this one. So I'm going to leave out just like the mindless reading. I'm trying to use fingerings that make sense too, so I'm going to be really careful about each passage. Yeah, and I think that'll be a pretty fun one. I'll be working on it for a bit. It'll probably be a while before you hear like a lot of it at once. That's kind of alongside Beatle 1001. You know, there's the Soar Mozart variations for my classical piece. I'm so bored of it though. I've been playing it for so long. So I think this will be a nice other classical-y piece to play. Because I do need a classical piece for my audition. You know, like Baroque, classical, modern / romantic-y. But yeah, that's where we're at. I think it's time for me to be done with practicing for now. So, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. Hey, well, you know, if you made it this far, be sure to subscribe and leave a like. Hey, want some guitar lessons like I mentioned? That was a while ago. I barely even remember anything I said. Was it interesting? I hope so. Yeah, well, you know, if you want lessons, feel free to reach out, join the Discord, or you can just email me, or whatever. What else we got? Comment questions, like the one I answered today, feel free to leave them. They can be about anything. And you know, I'll answer it eventually if I have a good answer for it. If I don't answer it, just assume that I wasn't going to say anything interesting. Alright, well, I hope you're having a good day. And I'm going to enjoy the rest of my Sunday. I guess I'll edit a bit since I skipped yesterday. And yeah. Alright, well, I'll see you tonight.